What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the We Live the Lifestyle podcast with your host, Chris Bautista. And I have a very special guest today. And I'm bringing you guys some fitness related content today because I think it's about time for me to bring it on the podcast because the first few episodes was kind of like a different realm of my life that I enjoy. But right now, I think the conversations are going to be really good because, as you guys know, I can pretty much talk about fitness stuff pretty much forever. But yes, we have Demetria Thaten here. How are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here. Thank you.
So, before we just dive right into pretty much everything, um, how have you been since pretty much you came back from vacation, right? 2 weeks.
hmm
How was
So,
that?
I mean, I finished up at Nats, and since then, that's been about like 2 weeks of just inconsistency, and just this is the first time in my like lifting career that I've ever had some time off or some time to myself where I was like, I'm just gonna wing it and just do whatever, and for once, like not focus on training. And it's been nice. It's been surprisingly nice. At first I was like, I don't know if I'm going to cope with this well, but like it was nice to have like a week off. Now going on the second week, I'm kind of like, okay, I need some structure back, but
For sure.
sometimes it's a break. Yeah.
I feel like whenever we go through just basically like block by block or whatever we're doing that moment of time, we kind of like time off just kind of leaves our head
Yeah.
and we just don't really think about it because we think that, oh, once we fall off or we take a little bit of a break, everything is just going to go down go down the drain. So
Exactly.
I actually posted this the other day, um saying I was saying something about I think I was squatting or no, it was my back gains. So I was saying that it's been, I don't even know, a month and a half since I actually trained back, and just coming back to it with the like 2 week consistent like training, it feels like it never left. So
Mhm.
yeah, no. Did you just go on vacation just for a week and then when you came back you just kind of chilled for another week?
Yeah. So I went on vacation for 5 days to Antigua, and no lifting at all, no gym, no nothing. I went to the gym like one day before I left just to mess around, and then I
Right.
just went off, didn't touch a barbell. And then I'm actually leaving to go on vacation again for a week. So I had a few days in between. So I was like, I need to pick up a barbell. Like it's
Right.
been too long. So I did, and it did feel weird at first. Everything felt heavy. It's like, oh my gosh.
Oh, for sure.
Like I could still do it. It just didn't feel the same. But
It felt foreign.
it felt foreign,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Then, like today was my second day squatting. Since the first time I was like, "What is this?" But today I felt a little bit better. I was like, "Okay,
And that
it's
was it was your second session, right? Second session back?
second
Or
squat session
yeah,
back."
right.
Yeah.
Oh man, so going by everything that you have done pretty much this past year and a half, because the last time you went to nationals was 2019, correct?
Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, and then you competed at local meets twice within that time frame, right?
2019. Yep, two local meets.
Yeah. So going from basically the last time you did Nats until this year, um kind of how did it feel, and then obviously you got your master's in occupational therapy, right?
Yes, I did.
And that must have been kind of stressful as
Yeah, it's just been a whirlwind of a year, honestly.
right. I know we talked a little bit back and forth, and just catching up a little bit, and uh just your mind was so focused either on preparing for a meet or and kind of studying um back and forth. And since basically since the day I met you, I that was, oh man, like two, yeah, 2 years ago, I think. You were, I remember, I always remember when you would bring your laptop into the gym and study while you're training. And
Yeah.
sometimes when both things are super important in your life, you just have to make do with what you can, and just, just find a way to do both, basically. Because most people most people kind of make, like, an excuse of either or, like, oh, I have to go to the gym, I can't study this time. Or it could be the other way around, I'm not going to go to the gym because I have to study or whatever. So just just your kind of dedication to whatever you had your mind set was super inspiring to me. Not even like having a full-blown conversation like we're having now
Mhm.
with you. It kind of, like, that energy kind of resonated to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you that, but
I mean,
I
I
feel,
appreciate that because it's not easy
oh no, for sure.
for
I
anyone.
mhm.
For anyone who has to do it. I mean, it's just part of life, like we have to learn how to juggle and we have to learn how to balance. But no, it was not easy doing both. And sometimes, and like I really tried my best to balance both, but sometimes, unfortunately, something does suffer at a point, and you
Right.
start to realize that, and you really sometimes have to just take a step back, reel it back in, and like figure out what your next step is going to be, like to make sure you're getting the best out of everything, like giving everything the best that you can.
Right. So what, by saying that, how many times did you, like, throughout, I don't even know how the time span you would want to set, but how
Mhm.
many times did you kind of, you know, had that little setback, kind of like just step back and breathe, saying that, like, okay, this is what I have to do. I have to maybe kind of reel back on one aspect and kind of focus more on this because it might be important at that moment of time, or the other way around. Because to be honest, I've had that feeling many times, and I kind of want to just tap into your head and
Yeah.
how you kind of, or how many times that you had that feeling.
hmm I mean, especially, I mean, it's definitely happened a lot over the past year. I tend to prioritize, which I know is sometimes can be a fault of mine. I prioritize training a lot over everything. I always get all of my stuff done, but it's like I need to make sure that I train. But especially in this like 6 month time period of I had were like the most important time of my school career, because this was my last 6 months of my master's. I was doing clinicals, actually in the field, learning, applying everything I learned in school in practice, um, and also was the most important period of training for NATS at the same time. That was like the biggest struggle for me because I was basically learning how to work that 9 to 5 job type of thing, always on my feet, still learning, always moving, also sitting in traffic because my location was so far from my gym and stuff. So, like, half my day spent commuting to and getting myself to the gym at the end of the day. Like we talked about before, I was used to getting up early and just going to the gym. Like, that was the first thing I did. Now it was, okay, I'm prioritizing school or my clinicals first. That's what's going on first, and then I'm going to go train at the end of the day. I'm going to be exhausted, um, but I'm going to go do it anyway, of course. And that, you know even though I struggle back and forth, and I wanted to say that, like, Nats was my priority, like, obviously school was taking more of the precedent because I felt like I could not give my absolute all. That's part of the reason why I like training in the morning, like getting up early and just going. I'm like, this is where I have most of my energy. I'm going to go do it. Now it's like I was doing it at the end of the day. I was tired. All of it was building up over the week. And I was just like, really sucks because I feel like I am not giving my, like, everything I have in me right now. I'm still going in and doing as much as I can on the given day, but it really sucked feeling like I wasn't at my strongest all the time, but like it's part of life and it's something I had to get used to, and that's how
Right.
it's going to be in the future. So,
Right. So would you say that, so going back to when you used to train in the morning,
mhm.
would you say that training in the morning, yes, it benefited that like your training more than uh basically schooling, because again you did training like super early in the morning and then you did school right after,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, I personally felt like it did because like everything about it was perfect for me. It was like an ideal world of like get up, go to the gym. Like that's when I have the most energy in the morning. That's when I feel my strongest. Like I just like had a nice meal, I slept, whatever, and then it just woke me up for the rest of the day. Like that was my ideal situation, you know.
Right.
Now life throws stuff at you and you got to work with what you got, and that's what I did.
Well, okay, so that's actually a good segue into the nationals talk. Well, it's the like your clinicals and pretty much the last 6 months of your masters
Mhm.
is basically perfect timing for prep for nationals. So I read your post on your nationals performance, right? And you said that it was probably your worst performance to date.
Yeah.
So with that being said, do you think that switching up your let's say your training schedule uh was, I wouldn't say the reason, because that's kind of like that's, I don't know like how you would take that, but would you think that it would be the reason for your performance at Nats, or your training progression? Because I know you had like this training cycle was, you know, a roller coaster of stuff, of uh feelings or
Yeah.
emotions.
I I mean, that's hard to say, honestly. It's hard to pinpoint it on one specific thing, you know?
Right.
It could be so many things. There could be a multiplicity of factors, and obviously I have like ideas in my head about like what could have played into it, but I don't know. I can't necessarily say it was because of like my schedule, like oh, like training at
Right.
night. That definitely could have played a part in it. Also just outside stressors, like just in general everything going on, like focusing, like making school like a bigger priority in my life because I wanted to give that the best I could. Obviously maybe not that in and of itself, but the stress of it all could have played a factor, like overall fatigue, improper execution.
Right.
There are a lot of things, trust me, that have gone through my head that like I'm like, where did I go wrong with this, and like how can I fix it for next time?
So so for the people that are listening, um for the prep going into just a meet in general is can there's so many different factors that could determine your performance each day, let alone the day of the meet. And the competition that me and Demetria are talking about is, I would say, you know what, I would say one of the top powerlifting meets in the nation, actually, because after like everyone from each state in the US comes to this one place and see who's the best in the US. So just her saying that like different things can be a factor of her performance at this competition is, no, like, with me being a part of the sport, I can relate to it as much and I can back it up like 100%, because um even though that I'm not at the level she is, that's a goal of mine. So but it's the same thing. Like even for me, even preparing for the last meet I did 2 years ago, um I would say like it would be like the best, obviously my best meet to date and the best prep that I've ever had. But again, there were numerous preps before that that, that I had to, maybe move training to a later time and not necessarily, move like do it at the same time every single day. Or maybe I would have been called into work and maybe not even train that day. Or something happened with, maybe a significant other or even family stuff. So there is a bunch of things that could be the reason for a poor performance in any
Mm-hmm.
sport, to be honest. But um, so going into nationals, um, like take me through kind of like you flying in, like the day that you like step foot. It was in Miami, right? In Florida.
It was in Daytona. Sorry, I need a second. Daytona Beach.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, just take me through like just like your mindset, going like flying in, touching down in Daytona, and then just going through the that week because you competed on Thursday in the
Yeah.
afternoon,
Yeah.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
was because that was the first time that they did it, right?
That we competed in the afternoon.
Yes, because I remember in 2019 you competed in the morning.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
competed in the morning. This
Okay.
is the first time ever that I competed in the afternoon, so that also was different for me.
Right.
Usually the 47s go in the morning at most meets in general, so that was a change for me too. I was like, which people say that, oh, that shouldn't impact your performance, and like give or take, maybe yes or no, but who knows? I don't know. The body has adapted to certain things, so who knows? But basically, that week I finished my clinicals the Friday before, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have this week to
Wow.
like try and just like get my head in the game. Like Monday, get my head in the game. Then Tuesday, I flew out with my coach to Daytona. We got there Tuesday night. And then I wanted Wednesday to just like kind of be there and like chill, just like have a day to get like in the zone and in the right mindset and just to relax, not worry about flying. Cause I remember in 2019, I flew there like the day before. We got there, I think
Mm.
midday the day before or
Oh
something like
wow.
that. Yeah. So for this one, I was like, I want a day, like to just
Oh, for sure.
to be there and just, since I had the time anyway. Um, so yeah, we had the day to just chill, like try and like also I know a lot of people have like that meet day like anxiety, and I just wanted to like be in Daytona and just like kind of, it's weird, like kind of forget about the meet. Like just because when I think about it too much, that's when it gets in my head.
Totally understand. Yeah.
So I kind of just wanted to be there and just be clear and like hang out and just pretend like it wasn't there until like I had to be there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So Wednesday was nice, just a chill day, and then woke up the next morning, and then it was like, okay, like now it's time to
Yeah.
focus. So, and this meet was really like high priority to me, important to me. Like, I had really big goals for this meet. This was going to be my first nationals as an open lifter. Like, I'm still a junior, technically not in like a month, but like, even though I'm 23, like this is going to be my first time feeling like I was really like competing against like, you know,
Right.
top level lifters here. So it was really important to me. And I did put a lot of pressure on myself to perform and like do well and show what I'm capable of, um, so that was a lot of where the stress was coming from, which I know I put a lot of excessive pressure on myself that, sometimes can be a downfall when it comes to performing your best. So, but yeah, so showed up, um, did check in, did weigh ins, met a bunch of 47s who were so extremely nice. One of the best parts of being there was getting to meet all these strong people I've seen on Instagram and like see them in person and be like, wow, like we're all here to go do the same thing and just go kill it. And it was such an awesome experience. Um, and just motivating. Like we're all going out there to like push each other, which at local meets, as fun as they are, like at least in my weight class, you don't really get that much. There's just not a lot of 47s hanging around like in local areas. So it was like really nice to like feel like, wow, we got competition going over here. I'm not by
Right.
myself. Like I have people here who are going to push me and I'm going to push them. And um, we're all here because we want, at the end of the day, we want the same thing. Like we want to do our best. So yeah.
just
Um,
uh just to strip away really quick,
yeah.
that's why I love the sport of powerlifting so much, is because when you go into a competition, it's like obviously everyone's there to to compete against each other, but at the same time, the thing that like a person described the sport as to me when I first started was you're basically competing against yourself to be a better athlete, or to beat your total prior or whatever goal that you have going into it. So that's what I kind of, went into every meet with that type of mindset, because again, like what you said, that you didn't there were you kind of overthink things when like thinking about competition day. Like even
Yeah.
like I know there was a couple meets that in the morning, like even just with weigh-ins in general, like for me, like, oh, okay, so I have to water cut like this day, and I have to not eat this day, but at the end of the day, like especially when you're even first starting,
Yeah.
you don't want to stress yourself out, because you're going to feel that, okay, this has to be the standard every single meet, and you're just going to again stress yourself out even more.
Stress, so
So
much stress. And
mhm.
like I hate to always bring it back to like balance, but like it's so important in every aspect, even in this aspect, because as a like I would consider myself at this point like a high level lifter. Like obviously like competition is important to me. Like it's of course it's part of the reason I do it. Like I'm a competitive person. Like I love it. Competition motivates me, it drives me to be better, but also you cannot let it consume you. You
Hmm.
can't be like what you put all your focus on, or else you're going to lose yourself and you're going to forget the reason why you're doing this in the first place, which has happened to me before. Obviously I'm in the gym upset with myself because my numbers aren't where I
Oh
need them to
man.
be this second, like right now. It's like, and it's just, you need to remind yourself sometimes, like you're doing this, like I do this because I want to be as strong as I can be. And like my coach always says to me, like, be the best that you could be and the rest will follow. So you can't just force things to happen when you want them to happen. It's the process.
Right.
So you got to remind yourself that sometimes. And then when you do, like, you fall in love with the sport all over again. I feel like I've re-fallen in love with the sport like 50 times.
Oh, oh, most definitely. Like I mean, you know, obviously, the pandemic this past year affected all of us.
Yeah.
Obviously, gyms closed down. We didn't have the equipment that we were used to. We had to scavenge equipment, you know. Obviously, like obviously some of us are, uh blessed more than others, but at the end of the day, we were all affected.
Yeah.
Um, so that time of, even for me, obviously I didn't really have a competition in mind, right?
Yeah.
And so after my last competition in November of 2019, my mind was so focused on like, all right, the next step is pretty much preparing for nationals. And then 2 months later, all the stuff happened, everything is being canceled, everything was being moved. And I like for you, when you went on vacation for 2 weeks, for me, I didn't train for 2 weeks when pretty much the gym was closed.
Yeah.
So once I started to train again, it felt super foreign to me. And that time, like when I started to train on a more consistent basis, it was like a game of catch up, right? Like I wanted to get to the level that I was at prior to everything happening. So again, like what you said, if you didn't perform that training day, you were super down on yourself. You were like saying that like what's wrong? Like you should be doing this for however many reps or sets, right? And then there was a time, there was a time that like I kind of hit a wall
Mm-hmm.
and kind of, stepped back and kind of told myself, you're this like this sport, or pretty much any sport in general, it's I don't care who you are, it's a marathon. Most people think that each sport is a sprint. You have to get to the top, to the highest level as fast as you can, but at the same time, longevity, like I always stress this, longevity is like the most important thing in within the gym, no matter if you're a competitive athlete or not. So um so I told myself, like, you gotta peel back a little bit. And once I did that, I started to fall in love with the process again, going into the gym, just not really caring or having a specific number in mind again, because I stress myself out because I overthink things. And then well and then going from there, and then everything just kind of came together.
Mm-hmm.
So um so it's funny because um being a part of the same sport, like you kind of relate on many different things.
Yeah.
So I totally like relate on pretty much everything that you touched upon going into, nationals this year.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so once like pretty much the clock started for you to like start warming up,
Yeah.
like what is going through your head? Is it clear? Is it thinking about like different things, or is it just, just tunnel vision mindset?
I I want to say I'm tunnel vision, like, but at the same time I'm remembering those meet day nerves that I have, and I'm like, there's no way I was just like tunnel vision, like go time. Like I
For
know
sure.
that. Like I'm saying I'm tunnel vision and I am focused. I am like every warm up rep I'm treating it like I'm on the platform like that second, like doing an attempt. But like in between those like in between those reps, like you'll see me on literally like bouncing around, like trying to like shake out the nerves.
Right.
And and honestly, you know what? That's kind of and that's kind of how I get in my zone. And like to each their own. But like if that's what I do to get myself in the zone, I'm literally like I don't even listen to music. I never have. Like I'm just
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
yeah.
actually really
I don't know
true.
if you remember that from Outlift. I never had my headphones
Yeah.
in. Like
No.
it's just not what did it for me. I don't know. Like it doesn't like it's literally just me in between sets, like trying like calming myself down, like taking deep breaths, like the same way I would try and calm myself down for anything else that makes me nervous in life, like and that I care about, like that's what I do. And like I just try and tell myself like, execute, like that's the big word, like execute the same way you do in the gym that you've been practicing, just go and do it out there. And I
Right.
just repeat that to myself and like deep breathe and trying my best to go and do it. And I like it for this specific meet, obviously I didn't perform my best. I went 5 for 9. I've never gone 5 for 9 before, which was, like a little bit of a shock to me. I'm used to going, 7 for 9, 8 for 9, 9 for 9, whatever. Like having pretty good meet day numbers, and like, it was a shock, and didn't feel amazing at first. I was just like, how did this happen? You know, but all I can do is take it as a learning experience, honestly. Like I can't expect myself like part of like when you set such high expectations for yourself, like it's like you can never expect yourself to make a mistake or fail. And it's like
Right.
it's part of it. It's part of it in this sport. It's not always going to be perfect. You can't account for everything on meet day. That's what we do our best. We try to mitigate everything so that everything goes perfect on meet day. And it's like sometimes it just doesn't. And, you know, all we can do is try and reevaluate and see what went wrong so we can fix it for the next time. And that is my plan. Because I'm like,
Most Oh man, that most definitely, like even like just anyone at the highest level, like people think that uh when you're at that level, it's just like sunshine and rainbows once you get on the platform. But even even like the top level, like even in the male side, even the top level lifters, uh can, like, anything could happen, like
can
even
slip up, can make a mistake.
mhm,
Maybe the
like,
strength isn't there that day. Like there's so many things, you know.
and that's why you can't really like overthink it as much, because again it could, like, your prep, like that 12 or 16 week prep that you did, or however long that you did, like that could have been your best prep ever. But
Mm,
once you get on the platform, there's, like, like, again, like what you said, meet day nerves, like all the people, like it's all eyes on you. Like you think about, even in your federation, like at the national stage, like depth is always a big thing during squats, you know, just people shooting commands, so on and so forth. So, like, you can't necessarily think or think that, like, you're going to be at your best because it's at the end of the road,
yeah.
right? So you just have to, like, it's like basically clocking in the work. You have to just go in there and be like, okay, this is just another day in the office, and just do the best that you can.
Yeah.
So
Another day.
so going going international, what, like, I know you said that you had, like, goals in mind. um what were, well, because we're not going to go through obviously every single lift and what
Yeah.
made it or not, but yeah, what goals did you have going into it? Because yeah, let's
Yeah.
just
So I had a few goals in mind and I hit some of them. I just didn't hit all of them. I wanted to podium. I really wanted second, but in general, I wanted to podium, which I made happen. And I'm so happy that I did and grateful that I was able to like achieve that with not my best performance. I am grateful for that. Um,
behind the queen.
yes, behind the queen.
Like, it's how did, like,
S-
super, like, really quick,
yeah.
how, because this is your first nationals, you came in second as well, right?
Um, my first nationals, I came in second in the junior division.
Okay. Oh yeah. So this, because you said that this was your first open.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wow. So that, because again, with people not knowing, there's two different types of divisions that you can go in. You can go in uh your your weight class, obviously, and then your age group, or you can go your weight class and pretty much everyone in your weight class, no matter what the age is,
Yeah.
and which is way more competitive than obviously being in your age bracket, because uh yeah, just way more competitive. But yeah, go ahead. Uh
Like, what was it like, is what you're asking me? Like,
yeah, like what was it like to basically be, I mean, you were on the same platform as these top level lifters, but just basically being on the podium right next to Heather, which
it was,
she's insane.
yeah, it
She's
was an honor, honestly. It was great to feel like, of course, she's like miles ahead of me right now, but it was great to feel like I was like strong enough at this point to be on a platform with these lifters, like
right.
open lifters, like, you know,
You know what, that's a compliment, accomplishment in itself, because, you know, like, just being on the same platform, just like feeding off the energy of all these lifters that, to be honest, you look up to.
exactly.
And
And it just it's kind of cool to just feel like, I still look up to them. Like
right.
it's like before, like when I first started this, it was like Heather was one of the 47s, and I was like, wow, I want to be up there one day. And like now, flash forward 3 years, and I'm like, wow, I'm here. This is that day. It's here. Like,
Yeah.
which is wild to me. I'm like, so it's like where like all those goals that I have, like I'm like it's just chugging along. Like it takes time, like you said. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Right. Exactly. And then what uh what what kind of stood out to me was because I know, right. So basically your meet prior to nationals, obviously that's what qualified you. Or
Hmm.
was it okay, so that's what qualified you, right?
Yeah, I think it qualified me.
Okay. Because I know there was like, different, there was like a whole thing with
Town
you.
showdown and stuff, right?
Yeah. So
So
in
long
that
ago now, but I think that's what qualified me.
so with in that meet, you in the meet that qualified you for Nats,
Yeah.
you broke pretty a lot of junior American records, right? In all basically all three lifts.
So at that, yeah, at that meet, there were no like, I mean, there were 2 out of 3. They were only able to get 2 out of 3 national judges. So
Right.
like unofficially, I broke some records,
Right.
um, which I was so excited for because I was like, that is what I wanted. Like I was like, I want to leave my legacy kind of in the juniors, like and like put up some numbers that like will take some time at least to beat. Like, you know.
Right. In- So kind of I have that same mindset basically for this bench record in New York in the and basically no one has broken the record in 2 years.
Yeah.
So my goal is to basically go in and kind of, obviously, like what you said, kind of break it and kind of like maybe not have someone else not break it for
For a
another two
little
years.
bit. True.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I totally get it. So going back to Nats, you broke the junior and open American record for bench.
Yeah. So, yeah, I broke the junior and open American record for bench. I think the same person had both, I think, if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken, which I've been chasing the bench record for like so long.
Right.
Like since I remember 20 um New York State champs. It was the first time I was going to try and break it because back then it was 187. Yeah, it was
Mm,
187, and I was just going to try and chip it with 188 or something. But then
right.
my second attempt moved really slow, so we were like, whatever, just like secure it. Don't try and go for So that's what we did. So I just hit 187, and then at my last meet in December before Nats, I was like, oh, I'm totally breaking it this time. Like, you know, and then I missed my third attempt again. And I was like, darn. So I was like, for this one, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm doing it this time. Um,
Third
and I
time's a
almost missed
charm.
it again on my second attempt. I was like, no, we're not losing it this time, boys. So yeah, I was so ecstatic about that. Like I said, I've been chasing it for a long time. So it felt really good.
Like just having those little, those wins on a day that like looking back at a day that you didn't perform at your best, just like, going into like looking at it and saying that, oh, like I did win in this aspect and that aspect. So I wouldn't say, it was a bad day, but obviously it wasn't my best. But again, like what
Exactly.
you said, it's just it's a learning. Every single meet, I believe it's is definitely a learning experience for sure.
Yeah. And it
Um,
just motivates you even more. It's just like,
mm,
okay, if I was capable of this on not my best day, like I really can't wait to see like what I can do when I really put it all together.
I feel that just keeps you motivated even more because even if you did go 9 for 9 that day and hit records in all three lifts, I feel like you kind of dive into each like that performance and be like, okay, I can maybe improve in this aspect so I can be that much better next competition.
Mhm.
So I've like I always tell people never to settle. I always, like, even for me, even like when I always, everyone tells me like, oh, like what, because I've hit 315 already, as you know, on bench. And my goal is to obviously, I've I've broken the state record in training already, and people always tell me like, okay, you've broken it already in training. Like, obviously they don't know that I have to break it in competition.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but they always tell me like you have nothing else to do, like to accomplish after that. I'm like, you just want more. Each and every time that you've broken a goal or you've done something, you always want more. And I feel like the that's just the longevity part, because like if you don't settle, if you're really into it, you never settle, I believe. So
I
so
believe.
yeah. hmm so okay, so and then, so in each of the lifts, which one do you think that you lacked performance, um like the most?
Like on that day,
Yes.
I mean, what what honestly I was most disappointed about was my deadlift. Because my deadlift was really, I felt like was really on the come up for this meet prep. And I thought that was really what was going to put me over the edge and secure like a good total for me,
Right.
or the total that I wanted, you know, was hitting a nice deadlift at the end. And the strength, honestly, at that point, like I felt it. Like in that warm up room, I pulled 308 for my last warm up, which usually flies for me. Like that's it. It just does. At least it had been in training for weeks, and it felt hard. And I was like, "Oh, that felt a little hard, like harder than usual." And like from there, I was just like, "Okay." Like, and my openers are always something I know I can hit like on any given day. Like
For
that's no
sure.
question. So I knew I was going to hit it, but I was just like not ready for how it was going to feel after the 308 before that moved slower than it usually does, you know? So I took my opener at 325 and that moved slower than it usually does too. Like it didn't also fly the way I usually can make it when I'm fresh. So that was concerning to me, obviously. And I was like, obviously, I'm going to go out there and like give my all, but like I can feel it in my muscles right now, at least on deads. Like the strength is not there right now, you know? So I went to pull 336 for my second attempt, and it took everything in me, even though like, and I didn't even lock it out or anything. Like I didn't get it. Meanwhile, a few weeks before that, like I pulled it with no problem.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, it makes you question, like, you know, what went wrong? Like, you know, like, why wasn't the strength there? Like, was it the squat that I missed, you know, when I gave it everything I had? And now like, you know, it just, so it was obviously disappointing to me that the strength wasn't there that day for it, considering I knew I had it overall in me since I've done it before, you know?
Right.
So that was disappointing for me, obviously. But, you know, the same thing that we said, it only just fueled a fire in me. Like it's so funny because when I do well at a meet, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to just go do another one now. But then when I also miss things at a meet, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's the same feeling. Like it's the
Right.
same. I want it even more now.
For
Like
sure.
like you want it even more sometimes when you fail the lift than when you do well, you know?
It's just that, like what I said, it's just like it's that hunger that fuels us to basically keep doing prep after prep and meet after meet. It's like some of us can, do two meets and we're pretty much done. But like, for us, we always want to improve in whatever aspect and become the best athlete that we can be in our own right. And if we get that podium spot, or get invited to, to different meets, like that's like, icing on the cake. But at the end of the day, we always just want to improve ourselves first.
Yeah.
Everything else will follow. So um so I know you said, actually, would you say, because for people that don't know, deadlifts is the last lift to that you do on meet day. So it goes squat, bench, and then deadlift, right? So go with that being said, do you think it was just, fatigue from the whole day? I know you said that the squat that you failed, that could probably be a reason, but I mean, with deadlifts being the last lift that you do, I don't know if like your coach um like taught you this, or do you know off the top of your head. um what I want to know is basically, how would you train for that fatigue, like within training?
Yeah.
Because because to be honest, like I know you've done SBD SBD days a lot in past preps.
Yeah.
Obviously you can train for that fatigue like on those days, but to
Hmm.
be honest, you can't do SBD days every single day.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I
that's true.
right. In
That's
your opinion, um, how do you think that, like going into your next meet, how do you think that you can improve on maybe controlling the fatigue, or maybe um like rethinking like each lift prior to deadlift, or basically how would you improve on just deadlifts lacking?
okay. So what I would say is, well, first off, I think just to get the SBD portion of it out of the way, I think those have truly helped me overall. Like I used to do like back in the day, I used to do like squat and bench one day, then bench deadlift one day, whatever. And then when we started to realize, when did we realize this? After 2019 Nats, when felt like I was gassed after my second attempt on deadlifts and I couldn't pull my third. I mean, I tried to obviously, but like I felt like I was gassed after that. So what we decided, or what my coach decided, which had truly helped me for the meet that followed, which was New York State champs, was to incorporate the two SBD days and um, a good amount of squat volume like on the SBD day. So I was always training my deadlift under some sort of fatigue, you know. My deadlift was never fully fresh even on that SBD day, but I was able to have that endurance like to last through squat single, back off, bench single, back off, deadlift single, back, you know. And my other SBD day was just straight SBD, no single back offs, but like um but yeah, so for that Saturday when I would train like that, single back offs, like that was truly helping me to like build up that endurance so that
Mm,
when I had meet day, like I could handle that. You know, I did have the stamina to like
right.
just do the single and like, you know, but something that like I've never encountered before, which is a big, at least in my mind, was a big factor, is that I've never, even though squat is my not my best lift, I have never failed it in competition before. Like this was the first time that I ever like pushed myself so hard and then failed it, like
Mm,
missed the lift. And like there's no like, I don't know, can't help but think that like that played a part in like how tired, you
right.
know, like how
For
gassed
sure.
I might have been. Cause this is the first time, like, it's like, what factor is different, you know?
For
Like
sure.
what is different than the last time, you know? Even at my last meet too, like functioned kind of the same way and like ever like was not gassed by deadlifts. And like this was the factor that was different. So now this is something to look at for next time. Like we know squats is something when I give it my all, like does gas me. So that's
Right.
something to look at for next time. Maybe I'm someone who needs to be a little bit more conservative on squats to save it for deads, you know?
Right.
So
So there could be, like we've named so many different things that could have been a factor on that day, but um I mean, just going by you knowing how to, or both of you knowing, including your coach, both of you guys knowing to basically how to break everything down and be like, okay, this is what exactly we need to do to improve on this. That just right there just puts you even ahead of the game even more, without like, obviously when you don't know, then obviously you have to sit back and analyze everything, but
Yeah.
just by, just even like even just you knowing that, oh, maybe like the failed squat could be it, um is that could probably be the end all be all thing on what has happened on deadlifts. Obviously it wasn't like a technical issue,
Mm.
is definitely way harder to kind of improve than basically uh just training your endurance for deadlifts.
Yeah.
Because like for me, like it was always, it could be a totally like a bunch of different things, but most likely for me every time was a grip issue.
Yeah.
So like that, like even that was pretty much hard for me to train, but uh just knowing that you're ahead of the game going into this, would you say like off season, because you don't have a competition scheduled for near future, right?
Well, originally, I had planned that after Nats, if I had performed the way that I wanted to, I had hoped for, I think I wasn't planning to compete again until December, and then I want to do the Arnold in March. Um, but
Mm,
now I'm like, I don't know. I didn't really have it all worked out. I was thinking December and then the Arnold in March, but now I'm like, I feel like December is a little bit too close to the Arnold. Like I want to give myself more time, and also I just really like redemption. Like, I know
y-
I didn't perform my best and I really just want a chance to just go in there at a local meet and just like do what I know I can do.
right.
It
you
might be
just
sooner than anything.
you just want to just relieve that fire that you have inside you.
Mhm.
Totally get it.
Yeah.
um would you, last little question regarding nationals before we move on. Would you ever want, because I feel like this question is like a, an obvious question to say yes to, but would you ever want to compete at worlds to represent US?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Like
it's an
completely
obvious answer.
transparent. Yeah. Like of course, down the line one day, like one of my bigger goals, when I
Right,
had the opportunity to go, I was so excited. And then, things happened. And then, unfortunately it didn't get to happen. But all that did now was make me like, okay, what do I have to do? I have to just get out
right.
there and find a way to make it happen again. So, you know,
Just going by that, like would you say it was like one of those things that like, okay, like obviously I didn't go, like that's super disappointing, but do you just think inside your head like I can do it? Like that's totally different. Like thinking that like, oh, maybe I can go if I did this, but you knowing like if you performed at your best that you can do it regardless. Like did that like that's definitely kind of like a big motivation too, because I feel like it's more discouraging to someone like saying that like, oh, maybe one day, instead
mhm,
of like, yes, I could go.
yeah. Well, I like to think positively, but I also like to be realistic.
Realistic,
You
yeah,
know,
of course.
I'm in the, like I just said, I'm not a junior anymore. I'm in the open division. I'm a small fish in a big pond. Everyone's getting
Yeah.
stronger, and
Mm-hmm.
also, Heather the Queen is on a different level right now. So I want to say that obviously it's my goal, and I want to get there one day, and I think that I can do it. You know, and I want to do it. It's part.
Right.
It's it's a goal of mine to one day be up and like represent the US like at
Most
World.
definitely.
And I think I can do it. But again, marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
Always.
so that's a great segue into basically what the rest of the episode will be, is basically just revolving around fitness and you. Would you say, are you um are you like kind of like not really invested, but deeply in tune with social media and just powerlifting social media in general? The reason why I asked that is because um when you follow your favorite lifters on social media, it's like that's the standard of, that's the standard of your weight class or whatever. Would like, if you're in tune with the social media aspect, would you say that discourages you from time to time?
Yeah. This is kind of related to what I said earlier. I think about like having like high expectations and like
Right.
starting to like look at other people. So this is where that really comes into play, honestly. Like the social media aspect of it. Like one of my favorite things is like getting to like watch other lifters like on my feed and like see like how everyone's doing and like be like it could be one of the biggest motivators, but also just like also can do the exact opposite for you depending on where your mind is at. So um like I said, I've gone through periods of time where I'm just like on social media and I'm just comparing myself to other lifters. And honestly, that's what I said when I start going through these phases where I'm like, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not hitting the numbers I want to hit, or you know, uh, uh, people are just as strong as me and are getting stronger, and like I'm falling
Oh
behind.
no.
It's just like, all of those negative thoughts that like have gone through my head, and I'm sure I've gone through other people's heads, even if they don't want to admit it, like,
Right.
you know, have just, they suck the fun out of the sport. Like it really does. Like, and like when I find myself, even though it's not often, but those rare times I've gotten into those moods or that mindset, I'm just like, I need to take a step back because I'm forgetting why I love doing this right now. You
Right.
know, I'm forgetting I'm forgetting that I do this because when I walk into the gym, I feel amazing. Like I'm forgetting that like every rep, like when I give it my all and I do it right, it like I feel so powerful and I feel strong and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I can do anything. And like
Yep.
that's why I like doing it. And then like I said, when you get too invested in what you're watching on social media, it just like, becomes like this battle of like, do I feel this way or do I feel that way? It's like literally just put the phone down and
For
it's
sh-
like
for sure.
it's all gone. It's like
Like so what do you like from like external stresses from social media to like, regular life in general? Like what do you do to kind of shut it out? And not necessarily, obviously when we go into the gym, it's a great segue, it's a great like avenue to be like, you know what, like I'm gonna use all these stresses to fuel my workout today. But obviously there are times that, the gym isn't there, it's, or you don't have access to it. Like what do you do to kind of cope with just any sort of stress, like no matter what it is? Because I feel like this question is so different for for everyone. It's very interesting to me to, see how people cope with things, because obviously everyone says like, in order for you to cope with stresses, you have to go into the gym, and that's a great thing to do. But like even for us, like even going by this last year, the gym wasn't there. So like how do you, like, just basically on a regular day, if like you don't, like if it's a rest day or whatever, like what do you do to cope with stress?
see. again, you were aware that this was a tough question because for people like us, the gym is our coping mechanism.
That's why I love this question so much, especially for us, because it's very hard for us to find a different thing to cope with things. Because for me, I go through this. I've gone through this for many times, and it's like even like there's many memes on like on social media saying that like, oh, like you go into the gym, we're great, but like once you leave, you go back to regular life, and all the stresses come back and like punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Especially like even for me, like me as an individual, like late at night when I'm like up, like that's when I get inside my head. And there's no, obviously I can't go into the gym at 11, 12 at night. So
Yeah. Honestly, it depends on the situation. Um, there's obviously times where you want to face that stressor head on, but there's also times where like you can't really do that. And like I said, like gym is my hobby, obviously. So like we said, that's the usual thing. But outside of that, like I really think that as cliche as it sounds, laughter is the best medicine. So um, you know, and like when I say that, the people who make me laugh the most are my best friends, and I happen to live with my best friends. So
oh man,
yeah, and I
that's a
happen to be
oh my
very
god, that's a great
lucky.
segue.
I I really happen to be very lucky that most of the time, whenever um, I'm dealing with, like I have wonderful people to come home to, and just we just get our minds off of whatever.
For the past two episodes of the podcast that I had a guest on, uh, this question, I always ask this question because this question is so relevant in any in any lifestyle that you live. If it's regular life, or if you're like I've interviewed like music people, people that like people that are in the nightlife industry, and then now obviously with us being in fitness and being a competitive athlete.
Mhm.
The question is how important is having that group of individuals, like your friends, your family, no matter who it is, just having that group of people to just basically kind of turn off everything, no matter what it is, turn off everything and kind of get your mind off of whatever it's on. Like, how important is that to you?
How important is it? Are you asking like how important is it that I think that people have it,
Uh,
like a
how
support system?
Yeah, like how important is just basically having like basically that close niched friend group or whatever group, um, period. Basically, how like why is it important to you? Just elaborate.
Mhm. I mean, it's important to me just because like I've seen what it has done for me as a person. Like obviously, I feel like at the end of the day, um, we all do need to be able to like cope ourselves and as an individual be able to deal with life stressors. But at the end of the day, too, like we need those people like around us that make us feel good, and it's never a bad thing to know that like when you're going through something, you have those people for you who are going to be there and listen to you and just hug you and tell you it's going to be okay, you know like you could always do that for yourself, and you should be able to do that for yourself, and that's always like the end goal, like to be able to comfort ourselves and to get ourselves through trying times. But you know like family and friends are an important factor in that too. Like at the end of the day, that's who you come home to. Like when you're not by yourself, like who are you with? You're
For
with your
sure.
people, you know.
Do you would you say that you're the type of person that kind of like throughout your life kind of like I wouldn't say picks and chooses, but basically just sorted out different people that you have crossed paths with, and for a period of time became friends with that person, but they kind of faded away because you didn't really kind of bonded in that way. um
Of course, throughout my life, there have been people who have come and gone, or maybe like I have come and gone, like in their life. And like, you know, sometimes people just grow apart, you know, um, and it doesn't necessarily have to be anything detrimental. Nothing super crazy happened. It's just people move on and they grow apart, and they're not necessarily meant to be in your life anymore, and vice versa, you know?
like do you think that um like trying to think, like, do you think that it's better to have a group of people that help you grow as a person, uh and in that realm, and then, or is it most important to have people that, like what you said, kind of takes away the stresses of your life? Because again, like, I mean, you can have obviously both, like, those two types of friend groups in one. Like, obviously um that's realistic, or that's an option. But I just wanted to see where your mind at, where your mind is at with that question. Like,
Yeah.
which one is more important to you at the end of the day?
Like people that help, that are growing with you, or people like, I
Yes.
always feel that it's important that someone adds some sort of something to your life. Like if not, then why are they in it, you know? Some
Right.
sort of value.
All
So
right. Right.
that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be like everything is the same as you, or you can't like disagree on things. And like, you know, growing apart doesn't even necessarily mean like you can be completely different people and still not like grow apart, you
For
know?
sure.
So I guess that's where I'm getting with that. Like I think as long as that person is adding some sort of value to your life and encouraging you and supporting you and being like the best friend or person that they could be to you, those differences don't necessarily matter unless they're really taking a negative toll on your life, because obviously you don't want negativity and you
Right.
don't want toxicity in your life. But being different doesn't necessarily mean growing apart and like we don't need these people in our lives anymore. You can like be different and grow
For
together.
sure. That's actually a good way to put it, because most people don't know that growth and value that someone like brings to you in your life can come from different things. Like, they can value your life with the moral support, being a good friend, being that someone that you can go to, excuse me, being that someone you can go to whenever to talk about whatever, right? And then there could be the value of basically, making you grow as a person, uh just basically, telling you that you're doing something wrong when you're wrong, and obviously supporting you when you're doing something right. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, I feel like most people don't grasp the you know the idea of value, what a
Yeah.
person, like, the value that someone brings to someone. They think that value is you know like helping you to become a successful person,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. But the way that you explained it is that, um just value, period, no matter what it is, like they should be in your life, like, no matter what.
Yeah.
So
And sometimes that like like value can be those different things. Like you just said, like, oh, like sometimes people think like if they're not helping you to be successful, like do exactly what you're doing, like then they're not growing with you and it's not someone you need around you. It's like,
right.
no, that's not how I see it at all. Like that diversity of thought sometimes is one of the like best things that could be brought to the table. Like people who make you see things differently, not always see things the same way.
Totally agree. Like, I've like one of my best friends now. she actually uh didn't grow up here in this country. She grew up in another country.
Mhm.
So the way that, you know, the way that like me and her clicked and how we became such good friends is the way that her mind works and her the way that she looks at things. Like obviously for me, um what like the way that she changed me as a person is obviously like at a negative situation, right? Like if I go through a negative situation, like not to necessarily be so down that it's a negative situation, but look at the good in everything. Basically,
Yes.
there's always something in every situation that's positive and
Yeah.
good, and you just have to look at each situation like that because, to be honest, like just learning that made me kind of more as a positive thinker and a positive person
Yeah.
because um so yeah, like what you said, positivity is super important now, especially nowadays, being surrounded by negativity from social media, what goes on in the news, just every like some people around you, like negativity is everywhere, but the way that you kind of block it out and the
Mhm.
way that you kind of move on from it
And then
is
also like transforming it, if that makes any sense. Like, how can I take this negativity that I'm seeing and or feeling and like turn it into something positive,
right.
you know?
Totally agree. And I feel that everyone should learn how to do that.
Hmm.
Um, so the next question is to kind of end it off today is how do you what do you think about being a female in the fitness realm? Because as you know, like I wouldn't say that females get a bad rep, but they're, the stereotype of, you know, women lifting isn't feminine. You'll look manly, so on and so forth.
Hmm.
I don't like the stereotype whatsoever, but I kind of want to kind of pick your brain because I never really kind of asked this question to anyone because it's a very sensitive topic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I I was gonna say like anticipating this question, like I wish I had more of a like a interesting answer for you,
right,
but at the same time, like we've gone to the same gym, like you know the atmosphere like that we've been in.
right,
And I am just like fortunate enough to have like had an experience where I never like I feel so lucky to have like never been surrounded by people who made me feel like that ever. Like being a female in the industry, like of course I've heard like this, I've read them like on social media, like the horrible things that people can say, like the insults people can throw at women for being
for
strong
sure.
or bulky or whatever people are perceiving you as. But like as a female myself, like I've been lucky enough to only be surrounded by supportive people who just think it's awesome, like how strong I am, like, and just are like, you keep doing you and like enjoying what you're doing. And um, I think it's great that you're doing something for yourself, and more people should do that, men, women, whoever.
Right.
Yeah.
I That's actually a good way to kind of stay away from the negativity of that stereotype is just be in an environment that it's so funny because uh Planet Fitness's motto is a no judgment free zone, but it's probably the most judgmental place on the
Judgmental,
planet.
judge free zone.
Yeah, exactly. So I yeah, definitely, like with you being in an environment that's why I loved Outlift so much when I first went, was because it was a place that people go and all they do is just work. Like
Hmm.
I love that type of atmosphere because I don't know if you know, but prior to me going to Outlift, I've worked in a commercial gym for 5 years,
Yeah.
and I've seen this I've seen this many times. Like I've heard it through different members and so on and so forth. And like even just you know even just like females being afraid to express themselves in the gym, like
Mhm.
the way that they want to train, or basically how they like, on top of it all, like how they want to dress.
Yeah.
Because for me, I say this to everyone, like if you walk in the gym and you feel, and you just, and you, when you look in the mirror and you feel like you're, you feel good, no
Mhm.
matter if you know, if you physically look good or you just dress good, like
Yeah.
you're gonna, your mindset going into this workout is going to be way more positive than, you know, than being judged on what you're wearing,
Yeah.
right? So just, you know, like I always like to be in that type of, you know, type of environment.
Yeah.
And I feel that the reason why I had such good workouts and probably memories in that gym was because of that reason.
Yeah.
Because like we all bonded in a way that uh, it's different than, you know, other people that go to the gym, right? So
Like
um,
everyone's just in there and just like if I could if there could be a gym if every gym was like that, I think it would just be the ideal situation for everyone because no one would feel afraid to pick up a barbell. Woman like no woman would be worried about picking up a barbell. No one would feel bad about looking in the mirror at themselves. Like that's how I felt at that gym. It's just like no one is judging you.
for sure.
Everyone's there to help you too,
Oh
even if
man,
people there like there are there have been times like there are beginners at the gym and like some people like and like there like no one is judging you like oh wow that person clearly has never picked up a barbell before like people are just so supportive and are there to help you and that's just how it should be in most places and I think if more people were like that people wouldn't be especially I guess like reeling it back to you asking me like oh like how do I feel about being a woman in the industry like
exactly.
you know looking back when I first started lifting a long time ago now but like I remember when I had never even walked into like the barbell area of the gym before, I just stayed near like the machines and like whatever. And I was scared too. And I was like, I wonder like I never really evaluated why did I feel that way? Like why? There were other people in there. So it
You,
does make you wonder.
you know what? Just you saying that, it's not even just a female thing. I feel like it's just people, period. Because
Mhm.
just going by from my experiences when I first started at the gym, it's just like I wouldn't even, like, you know, the best, like my best friend was the machines, because I felt secure. I felt, you know, I felt like I wouldn't be judged because I did this wrong. But like the thing is about a barbell, like obviously you can do it wrong, but like what, when you do it, when you like, it's such a great way to start. Like
Mhm.
that, like everyone tells you, oh, uh like a good way to start is to learn the three big lifts, the three compound lifts, squat, bench, and deadlift. But no one ever, like, no one ever said like the best way to start is to work on machines. Like that's later on down the line, but like, you know, and then before this idea like leaves my head, because that's a big thing of mine. um just dang, I lost it.
Oh,
But
wow.
it was a good idea, it was a good point too. So um just like, I'm trying to think of it now because it was really good. um
Good.
oh,
It'll come back. It'll come
yeah,
back.
I'll come back. But yeah, no, like when oh, got it. I got it.
There you
So the one of the episodes I one of the episodes that the topics that I've talked about on the podcast, um it's episode 3, if you guys are not, if you guys don't know. But basically I was talking about self-esteem and confidence, right?
Mhm.
So not even just that stereotype, you know, women lifting, like them being them becoming manly or whatever, or even just anyone being judged in the gym, that just doesn't obviously affect them in the gym, but it affects their mind state, and it affects like how they think of themselves. Like oh, like I don't think I should, like I'm afraid to be in here because of this, or I feel that I feel like I'm being judged because like if you're a female, like I'm being judged of like, oh, I have a bicep vein or I have quads or any sort of muscle on your body. So
Yeah.
like, to be honest, like I wouldn't even just just like, again, going back to the environment, like I feel like the environment is such a big, a big factor in just making you feel comfortable just stepping into a gym,
Yeah.
so
And that's
like,
why it's just such a hard situation because it's like, like obviously you yourself have to be comfortable in your own body and like build that confidence like on your own to be able to do that and step into the gym without all that. But it's like this cycle because like if other people make you feel that way, like if other people are breeding nothing but supportiveness and positivity, like that'll make you feel that way and then you'll go and do the same thing. So it's like, hey, like if everyone just
exactly.
like
It's like,
created that confidence and like that inspiration and like that support for people, everyone would just go and do it and no one would feel so uncomfortable about stepping into the gym.
again, like what you said, it's an ongoing cycle. It's just basically important for everyone to grasp, because no matter, we all started at the same place. No matter if, obviously, we, like, some of us had a like a more speedy start, but at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, like everyone gets to, like, if they're at their, like the top level, everyone starts at a place where they bought their first gym membership and they didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the truth. Like, I mean, I don't understand, like, even, like, even going back to the social media thing, like when you look at your like idols on social media, it's like, yeah, they're like they're in your weight class, or they're in uh they're in your age bracket or whatever, but they're way stronger than you. You always, a good way to kind of, bring it back to be like to have that mindset of, I can be there, like I can be at that level someday, is that they started pretty much
Mm-hmm.
where you are. They could be struggling with the same stuff that you're struggling now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just people kind of like putting that in their head is like something that I feel that people uh will avoid all the negativity that comes within, like trying to be a, consistent goer to the gym,
Yeah. Because at
you
the
know
same at the like everyone goes to the gym for their respective reasons and what like has their different reasons, but at the same time, like one thing is true, like throughout everyone starts somewhere and everyone from where they are at the gym worked to get there. So that's true for everyone.
I it's I like, that's a great thing to just basically end off this episode with, is just basically, like, for you, you've done this for 3 years,
Years now, yeah.
3 years, and for me, I'm going on to my fifth. And again, she's done it for 3 years, but she's at a higher level than I am. So just, just like, I've I've competed with, I follow people, um like on social media, that I've crossed paths with, and they're either way stronger than me, or they're at a higher level than me. But again, like, the way that, for you to kind of not discourage yourself or kind of strafe away from your journey, is basically, you're, again, like what you said, everyone goes to the gym for their respective reasons, and for you, just kind of like sit back and be like, this is what I'm doing it for, and not necessarily to to uh to kind of play catch up, or kind of beat yourself up because you're not, that is something that I feel like people should remember. And
They have to
From
remind themselves we're
yeah,
human.
exactly. So as you guys see, um we've gone, I believe, like almost 2 hours.
Almost.
And yeah, and as I said in the beginning of the episode, just like fitness in general, I can talk about forever. Like no matter what the question is, whatever the topic, if I'm, talking to someone, or if I'm just talking about what goes on in my head. Fitness, as D said throughout the whole episode, like it's super important to us. And I mean, I feel that um I've mentioned this in the self-esteem episode, is that a great way to kind of obviously build self-esteem and confidence is to go into the gym and obviously, you know, just improve yourself as a person. So, and as D can probably back this up, I've learned, or we've learned, pretty much a lot from the gym, not necessarily basically how to perform in the gym, but basically life in general. Like it has transferred to regular life as much as like the next thing. Like I mean, like from, not giving up and trying to like work towards a goal, like in your case, like becoming an OT. I would think that, like, there were times that you wanted to give up and were very discouraging. And obviously you just kind of like putting like your head down and kind of like doing the work in the back end, and just basically doing the work period, and it got you to, receiving your master's. And again, I don't know if I probably said this too, but yeah, congratulations for sure. I know it was a very uh long journey for sure, right?
Yeah, and I was only when I met you, I was only like halfway into it, maybe a year.
Man, like just that, like just halfway. And that was two, like, no, yeah, like a year and a half ago. Yeah, a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like that just right there, like you weren't even done yet, and just, you know
Yeah. I
just
mean,
and you finally achieving it. And that must have been like a very good feeling for sure.
yeah, an amazing feeling. And honestly, like lifting has given me like one thing I'll always be grateful for besides like getting stronger from lifting is like it's given me so many like values and qualities that like you said I can carry like with me. One of them being discipline. Like you just said, like me
Oh,
putting my head
uh,
down and putting the work in even on days when I was like, can't do this right now,
uh,
like still would go in and do it. And honestly just being grateful, like grateful of what my body is capable of and what the things I can do both in and out of the gym if I really
exactly, yeah,
focus, as cliche as it
for
sounds.
sure. So, apart from, I said this before, but just to end it off, like apart from, like your fitness life, as what is like your next step as an OT? Do you have like a plan? Like, do you have a like a specific place you want to work, or is there a specific place that you want to apply to?
Thank you. I appreciate this question. My next step as a future occupational therapist is to first, now that I have my master's, I have to take my exam, which I'm planning on taking in like August or September. And then once I'm licensed, I really either want to work in a skilled nursing facility or outpatient, because those are both literally where both of my clinical rotations were, and I loved working in both of them. So outpatient was more, people come in like for appointments two to
Right,
three times a week. You see them for their condition, whereas the skilled nursing facility were people who were there for like extended periods of time, seen for
right,
rehab every day, like that type of thing. And I really enjoyed both. I enjoyed the diversity of both. And the beauty of occupational therapy is that there are so many fields you can work in. So if I want to do both, I can do both. And it's pretty
would
great.
would you say that would be the reason why you wanted to be an occupational therapist, is the diversity of basically doing whatever you wanted to do?
I think that's why I like initially when I first got into occupational therapy, I don't think I fully grasped what it
Mm,
was.
until you kind of like got into it, right? Mm,
And then I just started to just love everything it was about. It's just like, wow, this isn't just one thing. This is like it's such a holistic way of like um helping people. You know, it's not just one thing and it's not just one group of people. It's in many different realms and it's in many different ways. I know that's very broad, but um, yeah, but that's like I just said, like if I don't want to just work with this population, I can also work with this population and work with these type of conditions and
right.
um, disabilities and things like that. So that's what I appreciate.
And I mean, like that's always, that's always a good thing. It's like just knowing you that your mind is not fully sold on, being a competitive athlete. You have a passion in uh a different realm of life,
Yeah,
just I just like um that is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you, is because of that. Because obviously when we're both super passionate in this realm, in the fitness realm,
yeah,
but just having like that other side of your brain to be like, oh, I'm passionate about helping people as an OT.
yeah,
And uh just just that, like, for me, I love helping people, and just like
yeah,
that's why I became a personal trainer.
yeah,
So yeah, just definitely, that's definitely one of the top reasons why I wanted to definitely sit down with you and like kind of like discuss pretty much everything.
yeah,
um so again, I've said, I'm probably not going to stop saying this, but thank you for accepting the invite and being on an episode of the podcast, and
yeah.
I'm
Of
really
course.
thankful.
No, thank
So
you for having me on. I really appreciate it. We had some good conversations.
for sure, and this was actually the first time we actually had a full-blown conversation for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
because
feel,
we haven't been to Outlift in forever, and that was the last time we had like a lifting related
I
conversation.
know. And hopefully, we have, more conversations like this, because I definitely like, chopping it up with you know, my friends and stuff like that. So
Of course.
so yeah, guys, her social it will be in the description of the video portion. If you guys are watching the video portion, her Instagram is at D lifts, D as in David, double E, and then LIFTS. And that's like her, like basically her fitness page. I don't know if she wants to put her personal page, but I'll so so yeah, so go follow her on IG. I can't wait for all of the stuff that she's going to accomplish in the near future and in the further future within fitness and her being an OT. So again, thank you, D, and again, we'll catch up very soon, but again, thanks. All right,
Absolutely.
guys, I'll see you in the next episode. Stay positive, stay motivated. Peace.